is kind of like apropos. It's kind of like
With
the way
Aaron
that
Judge.
Aaron Judge is, postseason went, and unfortunately for him, it was just not anything that anybody was hoping for, except, of course, if you're Eddie Scazzeri and you're wearing your YE jersey today, the Yankee elimination jersey or T-shirt that he likes to wear on this day every year. Yeah, is right. So, you're right. I mean, they're not even close to being where the Astros were. But again, I'm not surprised. I'm surprised they got swept. Mm-hmm. I'm not surprised they lost at all. I mean, the Astros were the best team all year long. I mean, maybe for about a month there, the Yankees were the best team in baseball and got out to a huge lead. But, over the last 90 or so games, they've been, hovering around 500. And the Astros just play better baseball. And the bottom of their lineup comes through. Their pitchers come through. There's not all this panic around their pitching staff and what Dusty Baker's doing and who's he putting in, who's he taking out, what are the matchups all about? I mean,
how many lineup changes in this series for Aaron Boone?
So the Yankees have a couple really big questions. Obviously the manager is a big question because now you're starting to read from the Joel Shermans of the world and other people that cover the Yankees. It's almost like they're all questioning Aaron Boone's decision-making when it comes to whether do you take Garrett Cole out, do you leave Garrett Cole in, how long is look, at the end of the day, the players have to do their jobs. If you're a $36 million man, you got to be able to overcome a misplay in the outfield. You just have to. And if you're, Nestor Cortez, who's had this great, kind of unexpected season, and then you go out and you have a groin pull in the middle of a game last night. I mean, these are all things. But everybody in this series has had their moments at either glory or basically falling on their face. And with the exception of Bader and Rizzo, I would say everybody else fell on their face.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Those are the only two guys that showed up. Another home run from Harrison Bader last night, 5 in the postseason for him. But yeah, you bring up how everybody's questioning Aaron Boone. You're also getting the Brian Cashman stuff in there from those writers. Now, I know the fans have been talking about it. BT's been talking about it. But you really didn't get that so much from the guys who cover the team day to day. It was always like, look, the Yankees are in the playoffs again. And the consistency is unbelievable. But after this happened, this is drastic now. This is absolutely drastic. And the way that the Astros just exploited every opportunity that they got in this series is amazing. All right, so the Harrison Bader drop fly ball in Game 3. Bang. Home run. You've got the error last night in the botched double play between Gleyber Torres and IKF. And what do? They end up scoring right then. You get Nestor Cortez last night, whose velocity drops, and then he's dealing with an injury. Bang, 3-run home run. Every single time there was a little bit of an opening, the Astros just slammed right through it, and that's why they're just so much better than the Yankees. So where do you go from here, and how do you get better? I mean, the first thing you have to deal with is the Aaron Judge contract, but, I mean, this team needs to be...
Well, hold on. Before you even get to the Aaron Judge contract, you got to decide if you're keeping your general manager. He doesn't have a contract.
He doesn't. He does not.
I think he's going to stay.
Brian Cashman has not earned the right to rebuild this team the way this team needs to be rebuilt.
The right. Yeah. So you think he's coming back?
I would think so, and I know that there's probably a group of fans out there that are disgusted about it. But again, I always have to remind people that there were players that he went out to get and to try to improve the team. Benintendi was one of those players. He didn't make it in this series. DJ LeMahieu a few years back, he didn't make it in this series. So that's not really on him. That's on the players. Carpenter turned out to be just basically nothing in the playoffs after he broke his foot and probably came back early, too early for that matter. Mm-hmm. So those are 3 main players that he had on the team that he ended up, losing going into this whole thing. Then on top of that, Josh Donaldson was just horrific. That hurts. Judge was horrific. That hurts. Stanton was horrific. That hurts.
Gleyber
was just terrible. I mean, he had a couple hits, but...
Also, Stan had a couple hits, too. But, for the most part, those guys didn't do enough.
Yeah, even like last night, So this is when the pressure gets to you. When things you end up doing, you do that you've never done before. So the whole Harrison Bader, Aaron Judge thing in Game 3. Aaron Judge is a center fielder. And he knows that Harrison Bader can make that play. And he has no business being over there. I mean, I know run over there just in case Harrison's on the other. He knows where they're on. Like, that's to me is like a pressure moment. And Aaron did something he never does. And he runs all the way over and runs right in front of Harrison Bader, and Harrison Bader drops the ball. Last night, Torres is sitting there at second base. It looks like it's going to be a tailor-made double play, and he doesn't make it.
Well, also, I mean, IKF was just flying into that bag as well. I mean, that was on both of them. It really was.
And that's it. That's the other thing. The Yankees, started 3 different shortstop in the series?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on.
Well, I mean
that's another area of concern that they have. So, I mean, there's like probably 5 or 6 different areas on this team right now. If they want to beat the Houston Astros, that they have to fix.
Yeah.
And part of it is health. Part of it is finding a player at shortstop that is going to be the next Pena. Like, this guy Pena is like...
Is it Volpe? Is it Peraza?
Right, who is it?
Is it Oswaldo? Or is it someone that you have to go out and get? I mean, do you go and pay Carlos Correa if Judge doesn't come back? Or do you pay both of them because things are so dire? But we talk about... I don't think
you could spend your way out of this, man.
Yeah. I mean they did it once before.
I know, but they are the number 2 team in the American League. I don't ever want to forget that. They had a great season. Aaron Judge had a season for the ages. We're wallowing in their losing, or the fans and the media and everybody else are wallowing in their losing, and the fact that they got swept. Yeah, changes have to be made. Are they? How significant and how major are they? And do they start with the general manager if Hal Steinbrenner does not want the general manager back? But then if you don't want the general manager back, that means you're cleaning out the entire front office.
Yeah, I mean, but if you look, there was a graphic I saw over the weekend about the Astros front office and how it had changed in the last couple of years and how they turned things over and still were able to do this. Then you look at the Yankee front office and people have been there for 20 years, 15 years, 10 years,
complacency.
12 years. Right. I mean, and when you get this, you're beaten this badly, that's when it's like the smelling salts are like, okay, wait a second. I mean, something's not working here. I know we're making money, and I know we're making the playoffs every single year, and I know that the fan base is strong, but I mean, my Lord, how far are we behind this team? We talk about all the injuries, but let's say they stayed completely healthy. What would they have won? 2 games in this series?
Well, I don't know.
That's the problem. I mean, they got their doors blown off in this series. Even last night when they had life, the Astros came back and came back and came back. So, I mean, we talk about these guys, and we don't know if they were going to perform in the postseason either. It definitely is a factor because Brian Cashman did try to address those issues that they had at all or nothing, the home run or nothing.
Well, he also tried to fix the bullpen.
Right, and there was a lot of injuries there too. But, I mean, it's not like the Astros hit like crazy in this series. It was really all about the Yankee offense, again, getting shut down by Astro pitching. I mean, and nothing was more embarrassing than Game 3. I mean, that was as dead of a Yankee team as I've seen offensively, even in some of the worst games they had against the Astros previously.
Right, I know. It's just it's about as I expected them to lose. You know that.
Yeah.
I've been saying that all year long. I just, the fact that they looked the way they did and the fact that they got swept is what really, I didn't expect that, to be honest. I expect maybe 2 wins at Yankee Stadium. I didn't think they were going to win in Houston at all. Mm-hmm. But, Houston has their number, man. And, here you have McCullers. Look how deep he goes into the game. Is there any panic?
No.
Fight through it, kid. You're out there. Go do. It's not all these pitching matchups and changes and all this other crap. I mean, for some reason, the Yankees and their fan base and the media and everybody that's around here and watches their baseball, I was like, it's amazing to me how much the whole thing is like driven by analytics and matchups and everything.
Right.
It's
and
just
that's the big
mind-numbing.
Point. That's the big point this morning because we're going to get a lot of fire Aaron Boone stuff and changing the manager with this group. I don't know how much that's going to change things. I really don't. Because, okay, you want to say that he went and took Garrett Cole out too earlier. He shouldn't have gone to Trevino in that situation. He should have gone to one of his bigger guns in the bullpen in Game 3. Okay, I mean, that is a legitimate criticism. But these lineups that he's throwing out there, all these changes, the guys that are on this team, this is all organizational. This is not just Aaron Boone.
Exactly.
So if Brian Cashman stays, then Aaron Boone's probably going to stay. That's just the way. They gave him a 3-year contract extension at the end of last year. Brian Cashman absolutely loves Aaron Boone. So that, I mean, unless it's like a sacrificial lamb situation where someone from even higher, like Hal or whatever, goes, all right, enough. We got to change the manager. We got to feed this fan base some blood. I mean, maybe that happens. But I'm really curious to see if Hal Steinbrenner has the stones to really shake up the front office in a major way. Now, we talked about Theo Epstein to the Mets. I mean, were the Yankees thinking that same thing?
It could be. I don't necessarily know that I see that. I really don't. But I don't know. I mean, it's a sad way to end what was really a good year, but they struggled against the Guardians. Their bats struggled against the Guardians. Their bats struggled against the Astros. Their pitchers struggled against the Astros. And maybe there was a point in Game 1 where, Boone goes to Clark Schmidt. Mm-hmm. And that's maybe where the whole thing changes right then and there. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of games to be played, and they say one game doesn't have anything to do with the next game. But in this case, watching these last 4 games and watching how inept the Yankee offense was, they all were connected.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because even last night, their offense was better, but that was because of Bader and Rizzo. Mm-hmm. Really, when you think about it. And they were your most consistent players throughout this whole thing.
Sure, which are 2 guys that, one, Harrison Bader wasn't even brought here for his offense. It was supposed to be, a real defensive center fielder who's got some speed on the base paths. Like, that's why he was brought here. And then Rizzo, is someone who was actually the 3rd choice in the offseason at first base that Brian Cashman brought in. And then, Torres, Judge, Stanton, Donaldson, all these guys that were supposed to carry your offense completely disappeared. So, I mean,
I think Donaldson's still swinging at pitches right now.
And I'm pretty sure he's making over $20 million.
25.
$25 million is on the books for next year.
Yeah, I think they went after him because of the back of the baseball card, as they say, and they went after him because it was a short-term 2-year contract.
Well, also they wanted that edge in the clubhouse. They wanted someone like that to come in and sort of be a little bit prickly, if you will.
It's nice to be prickly, but you got to be hitting.
Yeah.
And you got to be you got to be carrying your part. You can't just keep walking back to the dugout shaking your head, whether it be a low pitch that you don't decide to swing on and you get called out on strikes, or you pop up to the shortstop. I mean, he was just completely bamboozled. I mean, him, Judge, and Stanton, all 3 of them.
Yeah, I just don't know if you're Hal Steinbrenner and you watch the way that this season ended and you've got Brian Cashman sitting there with no contract, that you're not thinking about this seriously.
Hal Steinbrenner's not his dad. He's not impetuous. He doesn't make decisions emotionally.
But this has been he's been the general manager for a long time.
Normally, the general manager, and Brian Cashman would tell you this, 10 years as a manager is long enough. We got to get rid of you, and we got to get a new voice in there. Mm-hmm. Maybe 20 years or 30 years as a general manager is 2 months.
It seems
we
like
need to get a new voice in there. I don't know. I don't like really discussing people's jobs, because I do think that they do put quite a bit of time and effort into trying to be as good as they can be. And, Brian Cashman, over the years, we've sat here and looked at every single move that he has made, and he has tried so many different ways to keep this team relevant and keep it competitive through the early parts of the seasons when there have been injuries. And he's went out and got success stories. Unfortunately for him, the success stories that he added this year either got hurt or ended up failing in the playoffs. And I'm talking about, the young kids, and I'm talking about the guys that got hurt. LeMahieu and Benintendi and Efros and Chad Green way back when. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just like, you forget.
Michael King.
You forget that he tried to build all of this stuff, and then the injuries happen. And I don't know what to tell you. When you watch the army of arms that come out of the Astro bullpen, it's a thing of like, wow, where do all these guys come from?
Well, that is the point, is the team that you're trying to chase is built so much better than you are, and it's been 13 years since you've been in a World Series and won a World Series, and you're looking at your competition that's miles ahead of you.
And they're missing Brantley.
Yeah. All right, Boomer and Gio.
I'll tell you who was paying the ass this series was Bregman.
Of course. Of course.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.